which of these coordinators coaches in the college football playoff first at his current stop, if at all? So as we go through them, I'll tell you what I think. And at the end, I will tell you which one of these guys I think has the best opportunity to coach in the college football playoff at their present post. So number one on the list for us to talk about is Texas Christian offensive coordinator Kendall Briles. I wrote about him in our roundtable at foxsports.com last week, and it was clear that Texas Christian needed to make a move because Garrett Riley took his Briles Award over to Clemson and will be their offensive coordinator. This is also a great opportunity for me to remind you that I have a Briles Award vote in 2023, and I am paying very close attention to these coordinators. So in a Big 12 that is as thick through the middle as Homer Simpson after a dozen donuts and a six-pack of Duffys, I'm itching to find out if Briles can muster the kind of explosive offense Texas Christian showed itself capable of last season when it finished as the national title runner-up. Remember, this is a team that was thought to be so good that the College Football Playoff Selection Committee picked it ahead of Utah, Tennessee, USC, and to the chagrin of one Nick Saban, Alabama. All right. Also a team that finished as the fourth best team in the country after losing the Big 12 championship to Kansas State, a Kansas State team that got whooped, ran up and down the field, up one side, down the other by Nick Saban and Alabama. Okay. At Arkansas, Kendall Briles put together the nation's number 7 rushing offense, 236.5 rush yards per game. Rocket Sanders had a lot to do with that. So did KJ Jefferson. Pushed Arkansas to its third highest rushing yardage in a season since 2003 with over 3,000 yards on the ground. With a quality dual threat quarterback like Chandler Morris and a former Alabama running back at 5-star in Trey Sanders, I believe that Kendall Briles has what he needs at Texas Christian to make them the best rushing team in the country. And they might just need to be, as their week 1 opponent is Coach Prime, Colorado, Big New Fox. Yeah, I'm about it. Next on the list we got to talk about is Oklahoma defense coordinator Ted Roof. Okay, I wrote about him in the round table last week too at foxsports.com. And I'm going to tell you, Roof needs to produce a championship caliber defense. It's that short. Given the Sooners were awful on third down in 2022 and gave up 30 points per game, good enough for 99th out of 131 teams, you got to do something, especially when you have been handing out scholarships like candy to transfers, particularly on the defense. We're talking about guys that are supposed to play important snaps in 2023. Wake Forest defensive end Rondell Bothroyd. He's a Sooner now. Defensive tackle Jacob Lacey out of Notre Dame. He's a Sooner now. Linebacker Dason McCullough. He's a Sooner now, coming from Indiana. All eyes are going to be on Roof and his unit, particularly during the conference slate when they did not look to be as good as they showed themselves to be in the non-conference. There's little doubt, though, that Roof owns the experience. 36 years this man has been coaching football, 12 different stops as defensive coordinator, and the acumen to pull off a dramatic turnaround on the defense, right? But gone are the days when Oklahoma could simply outscore its opponents and get 12 wins. And if Roof doesn't find a way to stop the majority of Big 12 teams, there might be some doubt about what he's capable of doing in the vaunted SEC come 2024. Okay, next on the list, we got to talk about Alabama offensive coordinator Tommy Rees. Best possible program with the worst quarterback room since, the Tide had Jacob Coker, Cooper Bateman, and Alec Morris as their quarterbacks. That was 2015. A little bit more on that, but you just need to know that was the quarterback room in 2015. That was also the year Derrick Henry rushed for 2,200 yards and carried the mail 395 times in one damn season. That's the most that anybody's carried the rock since 2015, and nobody carried the rock more in the last 20 years except Kevin Smith at Central Florida. He carried the ball 450 times in 2007. I know this because I was a cheerleader down in Orlando. It's hot as hell. When this man was absolutely getting the ball handed to him by Blake Bortles and running up and down Tulsa's defense while I was getting flipped both birds by a little girl in a cheerleading outfit that said Golden Knights across it. They be getting after it down in Orlando. I'm very excited to have them in the Big 12. They like their football. Okay. Other part about that I think is interesting is Rees is going to try to get Jace McClellan close to that 395 number. It's probably going to be closer to like 150, 175, 200, but they're certainly going to run the football a lot. He has brought in a return basically to Alabama's offense, making it more of a brawler once again than a range player, from Cammie White in the last 7 years to more like Zangief. You get what I'm saying? Those of you playing Street Fighter 6 understand what I'm getting at. Rees is also a brand new coordinator in that building. And he's got another brand new coordinator in that building in Kevin Steele. Now, normally, one of these guys would be able to lean on the other because you might retain the other coordinator, or that person's unit might be that much more talented and better than yours. But he doesn't have that to fall back on. He's going to have to get this thing rolling right quick, fast, and in a hurry, especially knowing we don't know who the starting quarterback is going to be week 1 at Alabama, because nobody's been able to demonstrate that it's their job. I mean, they even took Tyler Buckner out of the portal post-spring practice just so they get a little more competition come preseason. So Briles has got Joe Gillespie, who I genuinely believe was one of the great defensive coordinators in the sport and basically looking for a job in Texas that he could stomach as a head coach. Roof has Jeff Lebby, and we know he's capable of with that offense. Rees is the only guy that I listed here that does not have a counterpart that he can rely on to help buoy him through those first 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks of the season. All right, next on the list, we got to talk about Clemson offense coordinator Garrett Riley. The short but punchy fact is Garrett Riley did more at Texas Christian than Clemson did with considerably less in 2022. The Tigers haven't seen a 3,000-yard passer since Trevor Lawrence left in 2020. And they haven't seen a 3,000-yard passer and a 1,000-yard rusher in the same year since 2019. Lawrence had 3,600 pass yards, 36 TDs, and 8 INTs in that year. Travis Etienne had 2,000 yards from scrimmage, 1,600 plus on the ground with 23 total TDs. All right. At Texas Christian last year, Max Duggan passed for 3,698 yards, 32 TDs against 8 picks. Kendre Miller, running back, had 1,515 yards from scrimmage and 1,399 yards on the ground. 17 total TDs. Texas Christian, a small private Christian school in North Texas, averaged 38.8 points per game. That was 9th best in the country last year. Gave up 29 a game. That was 91st out of 131 teams in the country, and finished as the national title runners-up in 2022, while Clemson averaged just 33.2 points per game. It's almost a touchdown fewer than the TCU Horned Frogs. My goodness. The man who coordinated Texas Christian's offense to those numbers, Riley now at Clemson, you get it, understand. But he's got Cade Klubnik and he's got Will Shipley in the backfield. That means he's got the talent to produce a 3,000-yard passer and a 1,000-yard rusher in the same year and return the Tigers to averaging 40 a game, which I had to really look at this hard. Is the same number of points that Michigan averaged in 2022. We just didn't look at Michigan and think 40 a game. We might have thought decent. I mean, I didn't, and then I was talked into it. But 40 a game? Really? From Michigan? And then I got to look at Clemson? Vaunted Clemson, Dabo Swinney's Clemson, didn't put up more than 33.2? Okay, you get what I'm saying here. Now, last guy we got to talk about here, USC defensive coordinator Alex Grinch. Grinch doesn't need to plot to steal Christmas, run on hatred for Whoville, or even field a great defense for USC to make the college football playoff. He just needs to field an opportunistic one that can get turnovers, tackles for loss, and keep offenses out of the end zone. That last part is most crucial. And he's done the first two at almost every stop he's had as defensive coordinator. We're talking about Washington State, Ohio State, Oklahoma, and now USC. Year one in Southern California, Grinch's Trojans finished tied for 5th place in turnovers gained with 29 takeaways and tied for 3rd in INTs picked with 19 in 13 games. For the man who believes that 24 takeaways by the defense equals at least 9 wins for the team, 29 feels like a damn good number. But there's evidence to suggest 24 takeaways doesn't mean your defense will play for a national championship. if USC's case, at least in 2022, right, doesn't mean that 29 takeaways even means a Pac-12 championship, what are we doing with the stat? What are we doing with the stat? Because you're past getting 9 wins. You're not playing Group of 5 football. You're certainly not at Washington State. No disrespect to Washington State, but you know what it is. You're at SC, where you're only going to fill up the Coliseum if you are playing for the national championship. Okay? They always want to tell me how nice it is out there. I was out there last week. It was very nice. Got to see a trash fire downtown. That was cool. But it's SC, right? Okay. Only 2004 USC won a national title while leading the country in takeaways with 38. And I'm not here for any of the vacated championships talk. I watched that team throttle Oklahoma. That's the national champion. All right. However, okay, none of the teams who finished among the top 4 in the FBS in takeaways made the college football playoff either. Illinois had 32. Western Kentucky had 32. Louisville had 30. Middle Tennessee had 30. You're not thinking about those teams playing in the college football playoff, let alone winning a damn national championship, okay? The same is true of the 4 teams that finished in the top 4 in FBS in interceptions. Illinois had 24. Middle Tennessee had 20. Western Kentucky had 19, and SC had 19. Take it to fumble recoveries, and you'll find once again, none of those 4 teams that finished at the top played in the college football playoff. Duke had 16. Louisville had 15. Buffalo had 15, and so did Florida. Look at sacks. Louisville had 50. Pittsburgh had 48. Liberty had 45. James Madison had 38. Look at tackles for loss. 121 for Liberty. Clemson had 111. Southern Miss had 108. Lord help me, Oklahoma had 104 and still managed to win 6 and 7. Woosah. Now, you're right to question the competition that Liberty faces versus the competition that USC faces. I will grant you that, but you're also missing the forest for the trees here, homie. The name of the game isn't the best stat for the best team. It is the best team according to the eyeballs of a bunch of suits in a boardroom following the conference championship weekend. With few exceptions, those 4 teams generally play a Power 5 conference schedule. Check for USC. Rank among the top 15 in the sport and putting points on the board. Also, check for USC most years. And stopping people from putting points on the board altogether. Yeah, that scoring defense, that's the bugaboo there. That's the bugaboo there. With Lincoln Riley calling plays and Caleb Williams running the offense, reigning Heisman winner, Superman, all that sort of stuff, USC's defense should not feel pressure to be the best unit, even in South Central. Okay? There's some Pee-wee teams. Snoop got some teams playing better defense than the Trojans have, all right? They don't even have to be the best defense in the Pac-12. They damn sure don't have to be the best defense in the nation, and I don't think that they would be. But they haven't got to be to win a national title. But by now, you know, or it shouldn't surprise you, that defending national champion Georgia had the number 5 scoring offense and the number 5 scoring defense in college football. In 2021, when UGA won it, the Dogs fielded the number 9 scoring offense and the number 1 scoring defense. Take it to 2020, mostly a junk year for everybody except Alabama, who won a national title, ran the table undefeated with the number 2 scoring offense in the country and the number 13 scoring defense. You have to get to 2019 before you see a national champ with a scoring defense ranked outside the top 15 in LSU, who finished number 33, but also fielded the best offense anybody has seen since God was a child. Okay? 2019 LSU, man. They was on defense. It's like a glass of milk on a paper plate in a snowstorm. Okay? Joe Burrow had his foot so far up defenses behind, the water on their knee would quench his thirst. Okay? My goodness. But take it to 2018 and we're back to normal. National champ Clemson had the number 4 scoring offense and the number 1 scoring defense. To put a sledgehammer period point on this here are the national champs since 2000 who have led the FBS in either turnovers, sacks, interceptions, fumble recoveries, or tackles for loss, period. 2018 Clemson led the FBS in tackles for loss, 136, and sacks, 54. 2016 Clemson had 130 tackles for loss, best in the nation. 2015 Alabama had 51 sacks, best in the nation. 2013 Florida had 26 interceptions, best in the nation. 2004 USC, we covered. That's just one team since 2018. That means that's only one team in the past 5 years who has finished at the top of any one of these defensive stats we think changed football games and won the national championship. Meanwhile, that 2015 team that had those 51 sacks also had a 2,200-yard rusher, okay? The offense was Derrick Henry, and they ate the clock. Now, what does this mean for Alex Grinch and the Trojans? It means that your number 4 scoring offense in the country had to pick up the 94th best scoring defense. I already told you Oklahoma was awful. They ranked 91st. I told you Texas Christian was awful. They ranked 99. You can get there to the playoff. You can't win no national championship. It's not going to happen. And Grinch hasn't had a team finish better than 28th while a defensive coordinator, and that was paired with Lincoln Riley. Okay? 2020 is also a mostly junk statistic, and that's the year they finished 28. 2020, when nobody knew anything. Okay? Every other team that he has coached with Riley in a regular-ass year has finished 60th or worse in scoring defense. You can't win a national championship with imbalance. Alex Grinch's defense, coupled with Lincoln Riley's offense, hasn't been carrying its weight. That's just it. That's it. So its best shot to get to the college football playoff depends on that man doing something he has never done to get Lincoln Riley the only trophy he has not picked up that means something, a national championship. And leaving the Pac-12 after this year, it ain't exactly going to get easier joining the Big Ten. So which one of these coordinators has the best chance to make the college football playoff, let alone win a national championship? I'm inclined to say, given that Clemson has fielded a top 15 scoring defense in 4 of the last 7 years and still managed to rank number 22 in the country its first year post Brent Venables, Garrett Riley will find a way to get Clemson an extra 7 points per game and put the Tigers back to 40 points per game on average in 2023. I'm also inclined to say that that machine in Clemson, South Carolina has more untapped potential under that hood, and Riley's going to find it. I'm inclined to believe Garrett Riley returns to college football playoff before his big brother Lincoln, especially with the Trojans headed to a, again, loaded Big Ten in a year's time. Hell, with the reigning Heisman winner at quarterback, new athletic director yet to be hired, and a taste of the good life, Riley ought to sell out for a bid to the college football playoff in 2023, let alone the one item that he doesn't have as a head coach that means something to him, a national title ring. After all, what would family dinner in Muleshoe, Texas be like if Garrett shows up and slams his fist on the dinner table heavy with the weight of a national title ring before his big brother continues to search for his own? If it happened, I'm only going to be mad that I don't have a plate to watch how the discourse would go at a Riley family dinner. Thank you for watching the #1 college football show. Please remember to subscribe to the channel and like this video so that you don't miss any of the best college football coverage in America.